Hey friends, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks. My name is Darcie and I'm a proud multi-graduate of the school we call life. This is your place to get unstuck from trauma and stuck in your healing. Go grab your favorite drink, get yourself nice and cozy, and let's walk this journey together. Just a quick reminder. This podcast shares personal stories and lived experiences. It's not therapy. It's not counseling or legal advice. If you need professional help, please reach out to a licensed provider. I uncovered at the age of 39 that I was an enabler, and I never pieced that together my whole entire life. My parents were divorced at the age of 16, and I carried on a lot of my mother with taking care of my dad. After the divorce, he did not do well with that at all. I was actually quite surprised that he didn't see it coming, to be honest. But he went down a very dark path for probably a solid 5 years. And I enabled, I remember bringing him food sometimes from the foster home that I had lived at. I remember getting caught finally because one time I just took the rest of the milk. And my foster mom, she was super nice about it. She just questioned me when I came home from school. And she kind of already had an idea of what was going on. Have you been seeing your dad lately? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, have you been bringing him food? And then I didn't say anything. And she's like, Darcie, it's okay if you've been doing that. And obviously I got emotional because here I am in a foster home trying to figure out how to turn into an adult because now I'm 17 years old. And my dad is barely scraping by with, a little tiny job that I think he was able to hold on to for a short period of time in a little apartment and still a drinking problem. And I worried so badly about him. Jesus, weird. I haven't thought about this stuff for such a long time. This is the thing with healing is you start thinking back to things that you thought that you forgot about and then you think about it. And it's been a long time since I've gotten that bizarre pit in the pit of my stomach, but it is different thinking about looking back to how my dad was when I was, 15, 16, 17 years old compared to now. I mean, we're talking 30 years ago. 3 decades have gone by. But in any case, I've been an enabler my whole entire life, but I did not realize that that's what I was until the ripe age of 39. I thought everything that I was doing was out of love. I thought that everything that I was doing was to keep the people around me safe, to protect them, to make sure that if they ever needed anything, if they were ever in trouble, all the way down to if they ran out of gas somewhere at 2:00 in the morning, any person in my life knew that they could always call me and I would be there. And I thought that it was my way of loving. I thought that it was my way of nurturing other people. I kind of now looking back on it, obviously feel like it was probably something that self-soothed myself instead of being a kid who, had a blankie or a stuffed toy. I had the opportunity to have people need me. And although that sounded good and it made me feel good, like, all of these people just, can't figure out how to adult. They always have to come to Darcie. And then when you realize that it's enabling, I realized that it wasn't really helping anybody. It was actually hindering them. So I realized at the ripe age of 39, about 2 weeks before my dad became a victim of a workplace shooting, that I was an enabler. And it dawned on me in the most bizarre way. And like I said, I had already been doing it my whole entire life. Both of my brothers have lived with Eric and I for extended periods of time. I've had 2 other sisters live with us off and on. We've had several friends live with us. My dad has even lived with us. We have basically been like the Burtch Hotel. That's not even talking about the amount of money that we've borrowed to people. And it just really was something that I felt like I was addicted to. It served its purpose by, like I said, releasing that dopamine in my brain where it just made me feel good. And I didn't just do it with people that I knew either, just to make that clear. I had no problem ever buying a homeless person a meal or giving them money. It just always made me feel good. So here I was, 39 years old. The last time that my brother, who at that time was just released out of prison for about 5 or 6 months after going for his second time, I believe, on another meth charge. And I've always been home. My mom gave him to me when he was 14 years old. And I was 22. So here I had a 14-year-old and I was 22, but I digress. And my brother seemed to be doing well. Although when you're an enabler, you only kind of see people as doing well, right? So I thought he was doing well. And then one of my sisters had asked if he would come over and watch their dog for the weekend. And he said, yeah, that he would. And he had been working and saving money, reporting to his probation officer, staying clean. That was the biggest thing. And he was gone for the weekend. And I just happened to look. I just had access to the bank account that he had on my phone. And I just happened to look. I don't know why, but I did. And all of his money that he had in his account was gone. And my whole entire heart sank because I thought, oh my gosh. We're talking like $3,600 in a weekend when he was supposed to be watching a dog. I thought, I don't know if him and this dog ate a whole bunch of food or like what is going on. So he came home and I looked at him and I said, how was your weekend? And he said, fine. And I said, was there something you want to talk about? And it was like he knew. And it was like he didn't care. He said, oh, what, you know? And I said, no, what? And he said that I spent all my money. And I said, what did you spend all of that money on in a weekend? And he said, gambling. Because that was another addiction that he had that played into his drug addiction. I said, you spent $3,600 gambling this weekend? And he said, yeah, I did. I said, why did you do that? His response back is what has completely changed how my brain operates. He looked me dead in the face and he said, because I knew you wouldn't do anything about it. Now, I'll tell you, I grew up around violence. I grew up around trauma. I've been in a couple of fights in my life. When I was a teenager, I used to enjoy fighting. I just did. I had a lot of aggression and a lot of just built up anger that I couldn't protect myself against my dad. So sometimes when I would be out, I would fight other people and I would always win. But I'll tell you what, that day, that was the hardest that I had ever been hit. And it was with words. I couldn't believe he said it to me, and I couldn't believe he said it directly to my face. And he said it with such confidence. Like, what did he expect for me to say after that? Yeah, you're right. Do you want to get some lunch? That changed everything for me in that moment. I said, well, you know what? You can go up to your room, and I need you to move out in the next 3 days. Because it was the end of the month. It was September 28th. Seems like it would be crazy that I remember the specific date, but our father was shot at work 6 days later. It changed everything. And it's interesting how life does certain things right when they need to happen. That changed the whole chemistry of my brain. Understanding that what I thought that I had been doing for my brother for the last 2 decades of his life, that I thought that I was helping him, I wasn't. I was enabling his addiction. I was enabling everything that he was doing, and it hurt. It hurt when you have a heart so big and all you want to do is help somebody. And then you realize that you're being taken advantage of because of your kindness, because of your willingness to go the extra length. It's painful. It was really hard for me. So learning that I was an enabler at almost 40 years old changed everything for me. Now the line has been drawn in the sand. I respect my time. I respect myself. I respect the fact that I've taken the steps to work really hard to get to the level of productive Darcie as I have. And we've come from the same upbringing. So it's interesting to me because now that I have taken that role and threw it away in the fire and just let it burn up, the way that mine and my brother's relationship in particular has become stronger than I didn't even think our relationship could become stronger. You know, like I'm his sister mom. But the way that it changed our relationship to a true respect and the way it's changed other people's relationships around me, where I'm not the yes girl anymore, I'm not the doormat anymore because I've learned to respect myself and to do it feeling okay. I'm okay with that. They know, everybody around me knows that they're loved. I don't have to go the extra mile every single day, every single hour on the hour to prove that. They know. They know. But now I get a little bit of that reciprocation back. Now I get my cup poured into a little bit extra. You know, taking care of ourselves is something that is so important for mental health. It's important. And I didn't realize that for me for a long time. My whole cup was so bone dry empty that I didn't even realize everything I thought I was doing that was helping was actually really hurting. I'd like to thank you for sharing your time with me today. And I'm so proud of you for stepping into your healing journey. Please share this with every single person that you know. I'm here to make the biggest impact possible, and I can only do that with you by my side. I hope you hit that follow button and you save me to your library so you never miss an episode. We just took another break out of your wall, and remember, with God, healing is always possible. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.